I awoke in an empty and dark building, not remembering who or what I was. There was a corpse in a corner, a maiden with her blood only recently spilled. A statue reached its hand out towards me. This place had been abandoned years ago. Plants had crept inside, and there were holes in the ceiling. I had to get out of there. I finally managed to open the heavy doors. I did not expect this. A dark sky and a sea of fog. There was an unsettling castle far away, and a tree so imposing that it dwarfed the large structure. I slowly approached an old wooden bridge, which crossed a deep abyss of fog. Something filled me with anticipation, and I ran lively towards a large open space. As I crossed the threshold, I realized something was off. Then it came. It came from the sky, a horrendous creature with sword and a golden shield. As it violently pierced me, everything became black, and I woke up another place entirely. The unfortunate encounter faded into oblivion, and dazed I found myself in a puddle of muddy water. I was in a cave, it seemed, and as I rose despite of weary limbs and the soft murmur of pain in my aching body, I felt that the stairs in front of me would take me to another world. Walking up the stairs, I felt a peculiar sense of wonder. A wooden door was left open. Someone had apparently been here before. I came across a humming wall of what seemed to be fog. It shielded an area below me. I left it undisturbed. A corpse with a glow lit the darkness, and I carefully approached some sort of device. It began to move and pushed me up to where I did not know. It reached its destination, and I opened one last door. A most unexpected scenery of lush greenery, eerie ruins, and a golden knight on a noble steed revealed itself to me. The strange man with the white mask just stood there smilingly and could not be trusted. Still, I felt an urge to talk to him, like a moth drawn to a flame. He told me that I had arrived in the lands between, and described Castle Stormvale, the structure which lay behind him, home of a terrifying lord by the name of Godric.
You are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
What a loathsome lover of sheep. I left the vile man to his own devices and began walking towards the nearby ruins. Little did I know that the noble knight on the majestic steed was nothing more than a horrendous murderer. I was smashed to bits and woke in front of the grinning man with the white mask. Somehow, I had once again avoided dying, and a realization dawned in me. Death was nowhere to be found. Suffering, on the other hand, was everywhere. As I sneaked into the church ruins that evening, I could hear the terrible moaning of poor souls. Listening to their suffering, I entered the dimly lit place of worship. Here I found a rather peculiar creature. The curious-looking fellow didn't grab his weapon like expected. Instead, he began conversing me. It was a welcome change. I was still rattled by the brutal golden knight patrolling the church grounds. The friendly being went by the name of Kalé. He was a merchant and told me that I was something called Tarnished. Apparently, I was not the only one to enter this domain of suffering. I took the opportunity to rest at the nearby bonfire, garnering a couple of hours of uneasy sleep. A little more rested, I decided to venture into the woods under the cover of night. The white-masked devil's talk about Godric's castle had ignited my interest. Surely, if I was to find my destiny in this forsaken world, I would have to muster the courage to see, truly see, what haunted these lands. Several brutish soldiers with torches were guarding some ruins. I took one lonely fellow down and did my best not to raise their suspicions as I sneaked close to a nearby bonfire. I had only just sat down when an apparition appeared out of thin air. She looked at me and said,
"Have you heard of the Finger Maidens?"
During what seemed like both an eternity and a fleeting moment, she conveyed crucial knowledge to me.
And aid
I was told about the Finger Maidens, a group serving something called the Two Fingers. She gifted me a curious horse and offered to become my maiden, whatever that entailed. And then, just like that, she left me alone. I knew I had to reach Godric's castle, but I wasn't sure if it was a good idea without gear. I was in dire need of some equipment, something that could help me in my endeavor, because this, the long journey ahead of me, was most likely going to take a lifetime. These soldiers were in Godric's service. I overheard some of the men talking about their lord and his apparently grotesque practice of something called grafting. Interestingly, they also seemed to be guarding valuable gear in heavy chests, so I was inclined to take a look. I disposed of the sorry fellow who had forgotten all about his previous and untimely death, and found in the chest a magnificently well-crafted great sword. Who would leave such a possession at this very juncture, if not whatever divine being had designed this forsaken world? Surely this was fate.